Oh, God knows what happened there. Ellie's got her finger up. She's gone upside down now. No, she's the right way up now.
Yes, I'm the right way up. I've got one hand.
Ellie just took us around the world in 25 seconds. There we go. We beat Phileas Fogg. There you go.
It's because I'm not mobile because I'm injured.
Well, Ellie, look, we've just gone into the Guinness Book of Records for going around the world in 25 seconds, thanks to Ellie Phileas Fogg Hoybier. So there you go. Ellie's new. Or as I like to call it sometimes, Ellytron, to go with Dermotron and also Phillytron.
That's it.
Right. Good evening. Welcome to THFC Till I Die. Tottenham past and Tottenham present. Look, what every other channel's talking about the Notts Forest game, we're rebels on here. We're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the World Cup that's coming up. And has the World Cup lost its magic for you as a fan? And also, we're going down the trip down memory lane. What was your best World Cup games? What was your best World Cup moments? What made you laugh? What made you cry? What made you pull your hair out? What made you shout at the TV so loud that you think that, that was a wrong decision? So we really are going to go down memory lane. With me tonight is my usual co-host, the one and only Ellytron, Miss Queen Ellie Hoybier, who took a bit of a tumble at Tottenham at the weekend. Now, she's told me, right, now this is Ellie. She told me somebody hit her. But I'm thinking she had a few too much sherbets, right, and she fell over. And yeah, exactly, Brad. You've got my brother. Good man. Ellie, how are you? How are you feeling?
Well, I was very sad because I got injured and I had a massive headache for a day and a half. I thought maybe I've got one of those things that you're going to get a bloody brain hemorrhage because they told me to look out for sickness. I didn't have any vomiting, so that was good. But you know what? It's all good. I'm not dead. I'm alive and kicking, and I'm ready to do the World Cup because I love the World Cup. It excites me, and I like to look at all the new players on the block who we've never heard of, and then we don't have to YouTube them either.
No, that is so very true, Ellie. Before we get to Brad and Mia down below, and we've got the wondering, well, look, we're honoured. We have PHILLIP, Jack Sparrow of the 70s joining us. He's not known as the Godfather anymore. He's now known as Jack Sparrow. And I sent him a picture earlier of him on top of a ship as he's coming into Dublin Bay, Irish flag in one hand, Spurs flag in the other, shouting, "I'm back." PHILLIP, how are you? And how's Dublin on this lovely cold evening in November?
I'm just back from the builders. I just bought a big plank for you next time I see you.
Trust you to say that.
I don't want to laugh because my sides are aching.
It's got a break here, so it's coincides with the start of this. So I said, hop on for a few minutes, I'm standing here, so if you hear a bit of car noise going by.
Yeah, no.
I just want to show you the T-shirt I got. Look.
Oh, brilliant. Oh my God.
Yeah, there you go.
The Brumfather.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, I love it.
Brilliant.
Anyway,
absolutely.
How are we doing tonight, anyway?
Yeah, we're all doing well. We're just trying to get Ellie to go to AA because she's now falling over in public. So, God bless her.
I heard the bars had to close down on Sunday. She was doing the rounds,
Yeah.
But you're all right though, Ellie. All joking aside, you're feeling all right, though.
My fingers are numb.
But anyway, with us, can you not? Oh God, Ellie, that's not good.
No.
With us also, we've got Brad Matthews from Blue Sofa Songs. How are you this evening, Brad?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks, Dermot. Good, thanks. Yeah, it's a bit cold here as well, so I have to put the heating on. So obviously my gas bill's going to be in the millions by next year. But live and learn, I suppose. But yeah, I'm fine. I'm actually looking forward. I know it's about the World Cup tonight, but I am actually looking forward to Tottenham playing the last two games and they go on a break because it's just been very stressful lately.
Yeah, it has, Brad. It has. Look, we will touch on to the Forest game later. We will do that. And Mia, lastly but not leastly, Mia, how are you this evening, honey? And how's your day been?
Yeah, not too bad. Busy as normal, and the weather has been awful, so I haven't even been able to walk the dog because it has been pouring down with rain. It's been dreadful, so depressing. I hate it when it's like that.
Yeah, it is. It's been really bad over here. We've had a bit of a storm thing blowing through this side of Ireland, and
my biggest worry is that I live the sea's at the end of my road. I'm a bit concerned about that. When it's really windy in that, I'm like, I hope I don't get flooded. I don't really want the sea coming into my house.
No, not really.
I know. Hope not. Right, we'll get on with a few comments, and then we'll get on to the show. We've got Tom, Mark in it. Do you want to read these comments out, Ellie, as I bring them up for me?
Yeah, Tom Marcanen says, good evening. I am boycotting the World Cup myself, the human rights and migrant deaths, etc. I couldn't live with myself, so in my small way, not going to watch any of it. Okay. That's your prerogative.
I just want to go round the I'm going to start with you, Ellie, then go to Philip, then you, Brad, and then you, Mia. Will you be watching it, Ellie, like time, or are you going to miss it?
I'm going to be watching it because I do agree with Tom. I really do. You know, I mean, he's saying everything I believe in, but I like the football and the magic of the World Cup, and it lures me. And I know I may be doing a cop out, but I just love football, and I can't be not having footballs at Spurs. Well, we're not seeing much football at Spurs, are we? We're seeing like sideways. We're seeing Eric Dyer making mistakes. So I want to see some world-class players playing world-class football, and I hope it's a very successful tournament. You know, and I want to see Harry Kane lift that FA Cup. Not the FA Cup, sorry, the World Cup. I want to see Harry Kane lift it. Come on, Harry.
Philip, to you, are you going to be watching the World Cup? I know your views on why it shouldn't be there. We had Sepp Blatter saying this morning in the news that it was a mistake that it went to Qatar. It should have gone to the USA for 2022. Will you be watching the World Cup, or are you going to watch some of it, boycott it? What are you going to do?
Well, first of all, if Sepp Blatter is so conciliatory now about making a mistake about giving the World Cup to Qatar, I hope he's giving back the bribe they gave him. As it stands, I watch every match of every World Cup up to now. I watch as many matches as I can. What I'm going to do this time, by the way, I totally agree with Tom's sentiments. Absolutely. Totally. I'm not going to boycott it completely, but I'm only going to watch selective matches, maybe 5 or 6 matches during the tournament. I'm not going to watch it all. I'll probably watch the England match. I'll probably watch the Brazil. I'll watch any team that's got Spurs players. That's about it.
Yeah. Argentina. And
I think it's an absolute disgrace that a country like Qatar is getting it. It should be in the USA. Okay, they have their own problems, but still, it's a big country. A country where soccer is making a huge impact at the moment. Not a little pokey little place like Qatar, where all they care about is making money and beating up people and going around persecuting gay people.
Yeah, that is probably one of the reasons why it shouldn't be going there. But yeah, I totally agree with everything you say, Philip. Absolutely spot on as always. Absolutely spot on. Brad, are you going to follow Tom's boycott?
Well, first of all, absolute utter respect for Tom. I really admire the stand that you're taking. And yeah, I agree. It should never have gone to Qatar. The human rights issues. I mean, it's literally a what's the word for a religious state? Something autocracy. It's basically, you know, it's and it will, you know what's going to happen. It'll be like Russia in 2018 for 4 weeks, 5 weeks. It'll be all nice and everyone will be nice. They'll be looked after really, really well and it'll be really nice. And then suddenly, as soon as the World Cup's gone, it'll be back to being the sort of state it is at the moment. On who should have got the World Cup? Well, FIFA's remit is to give the World Cup to nations where football is developing and becoming a thing. That's why South Africa got it in 2006, I think, or 2010, whenever it was. Correct me if I'm wrong, I do believe that Australia bid for this World Cup.
They did.
And football is very big in Australia. I lived there, and it's even bigger now. So Australia should have got the World Cup, or should have certainly had a good chance of getting it. So, yeah, it's absolutely disgusting what's going on there. But I'm like Ellie, I'm a football fan. I'll watch the England games. I just hope that the players do have some sort of, like Carricane's going to wear the rainbow armband, that sort of thing. Australia come out with an advert talking about it. They've actually come out about things. So I hope the players do something like that, make some sort of gesture. I know it doesn't achieve anything, and I know they'll go back to their bad ways, but yeah, unfortunately, it's the state of the world we live in at the moment. And I have to say, I mean, my three favourite World Cups are 1970, 1990, and 2018 in Russia. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah,
not 1966, Brad.
You know what?
We won the World Cup in 1966.
I was out. My family. We went on a family holiday to Cornwall with another family friend, and I apparently they rushed to get to see the World Cup final. I was outside in the garden, probably playing Cowboys and Indians or whatever you play at 6 years old, or no, I was only 5 years old. So no, I don't remember the 1966 World Cup.
Yeah.
But
I was only 4.
Yeah, 1970.
I can remember it a little bit, but the 1971, I was only 8, but I remember it very well because of Pelé and Revellino. And there were brilliant players in Brazil's team. And they were like dancing on the pitch.
One of the world's best teams.
Brilliant.
In history, definitely.
And England had a decent team as well.
We did. Well, we'll talk about World Cup memories.
Yeah,
1970.
I just get in there a second before I have to go back in here.
Yeah, go on. We're chatting away here, not letting Philip go in.
Manuel Neuer and Harry Kane are among 8 World Cup captains who have committed to wearing the rainbow armband during the World Cup.
Yes.
Yeah, good.
I heard that.
Yeah.
They'll probably be arrested on the pitch before the match starts.
I hope
they don't shoot him.
Yeah. I just want to get Mia in, if that's okay, because Mia hasn't had a chance for the question Tom was asking, so I just wanted to get Mia in. Sorry, Mia.
Yeah, cool. Sorry, Mia.
That's all right.
Mia, are you going to be like Tom? Are you going to boycott the World Cup, or you be watching it? What's your thoughts?
It's so difficult because I want to watch the England matches because seeing as Cyprus never get into these sort of things, when they do, we get smacked. I don't obviously my team will be England, and I want to watch us. It's so difficult because the other issue we've got is that it's so already ingrained in football anyway, because when you look at the people that own Newcastle, that own Chelsea, that own Man City, they're already corrupt, and countries that come from very dodgy ground, if you know what I mean, in far as their human rights and the things that they do. So it's already sort of ingrained in our football anyway. And I know it's not right, but it's like, what can we do? Like, it's very, very difficult, isn't it? Like, to get that balance is what I mean. Like, morally, you try and be moral as much as you can, but the fact that it's already in the Prem, really, when you look at the corrupt people that own clubs, and then Liverpool selling, they might get another owner that's probably just as corrupt.
Yeah.
Well, I think. Sorry, Ali, go on.
No, I was going to say, remember, there's lots of countries that persecute gay people. Even our own country, we've had gay people persecuted. So we can't point the finger always at a country, but obviously they have different laws where they would kill you if you're gay. But then you can look at every single country has got a problem where gay people are persecuted, and they go undercover.
Yeah, Ellie, when my parents come over from Ireland to England, and Philip will probably back me up in this, my dad told me there was a sign at bed and breakfast: no blacks, no animals, no Irish.
Oh my God!
Got prosecuted
I remember after do you remember the Birmingham car bombing in 1974?
Yeah, well, I don't remember it, but my parents told me, yeah.
Yeah, terrible time in Birmingham after that. I mean, I had friends. I was living there up to a couple of years before that. It was shocking, you know. But just one thing, though, I just add to the thing about the gay people. That the statement that Qatari envoy said today, I'd say he'll probably have his knuckles cut off for saying that, because he's just at a time when they wanted things ramped down and the tension to ease a bit. He goes and makes a statement of that, which is put it right back up into the red zone again. So it's ridiculous. I mean, it's a bit like the letter Infantino put out. Just watch the football, lads. Ignore everything else. I mean, who do you think we are?
You can't
Who does he
ignore
think
things.
we are? Little children that do as you're told. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Listen, lads, I have to go back in again here now, so I'm sorry I have to sign off. But nice for the quick visit.
We'll get more. We get more from you on Thursday about this as well when you're back here on Thursday.
Thanks, Philip.
Rock on, Godfather.
We're not worthy. We're not worthy.
And Philip will get me to walk the plank live on there during or after the World Cup. You will see that live here.
There's also there's a documentary that was on ITV last week, which is pretty good about Qatar. So it's probably on there, whatever their catch-up thing is.
Yeah, the ITV Hub thing. And there's one coming out on Netflix about the corruption in FIFA. So tonight's stream is sort of, we are going to talk about the World Cup, but it's more about the World Cup of the past. And it's about the memories we've had. We're going through the history of FIFA. Why was it founded? And try to go back to the roots of why FIFA was founded and why the World Cup was brought about. Because I think it's got lost somewhere along the years of every World Cup. We've all grown up watching World Cups of the past. We've all got our favourite memories. As kids, I used to run home, especially 86. I remember getting up at some stupid o'clock to watch Brazil versus Northern Ireland. My mother was from Northern Ireland, and watching the great Brazilian side of the 82 playing in 86 with 82 that should have won the World Cup. No, I remember my mum dancing around the sitting room in 82 when Jerry Armstrong beat Spain.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
You know, things like that. So that's we will be talking about the Qatar thing when the World Cup starts, and that is a stream we will be doing. We're not going to shy away from that. And I think with people with voices as a channel, we shouldn't. But tonight's all about memories and why has the World Cup lost its magic. And it was Ellie who came up with the title. So big up Ellie, absolutely genius as always. But also I want to pay our respects to the actor Leslie Phillips, who was Tottenham, and he was one of our own, who sadly passed away today. So condolences to him and his family. And I think Forsyth was from Tottenham as well, wasn't he? He was another
Forsyth was Tottenham. Yeah.
Forsyth, Edmonton he was born. But like Leslie Phillips, right? He had elocution lessons because he was a Cockney. He had elocution lessons so that he could become an actor. And he was famous for that saying "ding dong."
Ding dong. I actually, when the news came in today, I actually got surprised. I didn't know he was still alive, to be honest, when the news came in today.
What I mean?
I didn't realise he was in Harry Potter too. I think, wasn't he? He was in one of the Harry Potter films, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
Everyone's been in the Harry Potter film.
Yeah, he was.
Go on, Ellie. We've got a few comments here. I've went through all the big because I'm talking to each other till we get to these ones. So go on,
my
Ellie.
big friend Harry from Hasbro TV. I'll be watching the World Cup myself with my mates down in the pub with a drink in my hand. It's an experience regardless of where it takes place for me. If England do well, drinks will be mild like the Euros. That is very true. They will go crazy because, if England win the World Cup, it's like the whole nation will unite, you know. And I'll be on the streets as well. I'll be celebrating down White Hart Lane, actually.
It's just going to be really weird being in the cold weather. That's going to be really, really weird because I remember the England quarter final against Sweden in 2018, and it was so hot that day. It's really hot. And I was literally going outside one door, around the other, into another door to get into the lose without actually going through the crowded pub. And then washing my hands and then pouring water all over my face and everything. It was so hot that day. So it's going to be quite weird watching it in the cold.
I'm with you, Brad. Like, I have always watched it in the summer, but in the pub. Like, I went once with my brother to the pub, and because I'm so little, I managed to get right to the front of the screen because I'm like, excuse me, sorry, can I go through because I can't see? And everyone was like, yeah, no problem. Yeah, because I'm so tiny. Everyone was like, yeah, no probs. But I got beer spilled all over me when we scored. Oh my God, I got beer all over me.
Yeah, that's the
it's normal, isn't it?
Normal, yeah. A beer shower.
Yeah. You go home stinking of beer and cigarettes.
I don't even smoke. I don't smoke. I don't smoke and I don't drink. So that's the crazy thing. I had a shandy, but they put it in one of those big plastic pint glasses, and it looks so funny on me, little person carrying my big pint glass with my two hands, trying to get to the front. Going, excuse me. I'm only like literally. I'm 4'11", so I'm not even 5 foot tall. So like I'm proper giddy.
Okay. Not like my daughter Joanna, she's 4'11" as well. It's Kylie Minogue height, isn't it?
Yeah, big up the little people.
Come on, the Kylie. Come on, the Mia. It's not how big you are, it's how, it's the best things come in small packages as well, Mia.
Joe, I always say, here's one to Joanne. Here's one for your daughter to tell everybody. Just tell everybody you grow until you're perfect. So I just was perfect before everybody else. That's all that is.
That's it. That's it. You tell them. So Bobby K says, my man Mick. Yes, Mick is a nice fella. He just wished me good luck in my illness. My dad born in 1968. Lovely. I was born 6 years before your dad.
Yeah, we've got this one here from Tom.
Yeah. Do you want to read that one, Dermot?
No, I'll let you do it, Ellie.
Okay, so it says, yes, I agree, Ellie. UK and USA had their own human rights as well as other countries. However, I feel strongly about it, and the human rights are universal. Big up THFC till I die for talking about it. 100%. Yes. Well, good sentiment, Tom, again.
I guess in a strange sort of a way, would we have been aware of Qatar's human rights issues if there hadn't been a World Cup?
Well, the Formula One
really, last year. Really. They wouldn't really cover it, would they?
Yeah.
They wouldn't really bother.
Yeah, because I don't know much about Qatar. I mean, if it'd been in Saudi Arabia, it's, they, princess and all that sort of stuff. But
true.
I don't know much about. I mean, and I just wonder if it hadn't had the World Cup, then maybe we wouldn't have got to know about the human rights issue. So there is a sort of a tangent way of looking at it.
Yeah. Okay, so Tom says 1986 will always be a great memory because my first one, and my dad woke me up in the middle of the night on request. I don't know what that says. SOXL could watch England. So I could watch England. So I could watch England. That's so good. Your dad waking you up in the middle of the night. That's cool, isn't it? So come on, let's go and watch the football. You're you're my son. You got to come and watch it with me. It bonds people, doesn't it? Football. It unites people.
Is that when you drew 0-0 against Morocco, or is that when you drew 1-1 against Portugal, or is that when you beat Poland?
Yeah, they always have a bad start. They always have one dodgy result. And I think it's going to be against Iran. What's that say? An East End boomer remembers.
This is a book written by my cousin, David.
David
Matthews, a massive Spurs fan. Got an absolutely brilliant memory. He is, I think, he's 7 years older than me. So that would make him 68, 69. But it's basically his life going up to when he's about 17. But he gives a really good account of the 66 World Cup and the 1970 World Cup in here, because obviously being a big football fan, and it's really, really good reading. So I think if you go onto Amazon,
and he said boomer remembers. I'll get it.
You can find it on Amazon.
Definitely.
Yeah, he's written about 5 books, but that's his life. It's really good. There's some great stuff in there also about pop music and that sort of thing, and just growing up in the East End. I don't share his political views. He's on the other side of the fence to me politically, but it's a really, really good read. And his memory is absolutely brilliant. And he gives brilliant accounts of the 66 World Cup and the 70 World Cup in it.
Okay, definitely. That's one to buy, everybody. Brilliant book. So Tom McCunnan says 0-0 Wilkins red card match. My dad went back to bed. He's a wise man, your dad.
That was the famous Lineker tournament, wasn't it? With the greatest bit of commentary ever. I think it was Barry Davis, and I think Lineker scored, and Barry Davis goes, "Well, it may be hot, but it's raining goals here in Monterey. It's it that one won't count because it was ruled offside or something."
This for me is the greatest World Cup match I ever saw. Well, I just about remember, but I've seen videos of it since. For me, the 82
Paolo Rossi
against Brazil, the greatest Brazilian side never to win the World Cup.
I didn't watch that final.
Yeah,
I didn't watch it. No, I when I lived in Adelaide, there's it's 82 was, we were like the mods and skinheads and that, and the sort of rockers were like the Italians and the Greeks. So we didn't get on with a lot of. I mean, I did personally, but the Italians. So when Italy won it, I just didn't want to watch it. And they actually had. I went to work that morning. They had this big procession, big carnival procession through the streets of Adelaide, celebrating the World Cup sort of thing. But
I hate to be depressing to you guys, but I was born in 82, so I won't remember any of that because I was only just born.
I was 20 in 82, so it was. When you get to that age where you actually really appreciate football, because we won the FA Cup when I was 19, and then the World Cup's the next year, and I was just remembered there was such brilliant football in that tournament, brilliant from a lot of teams, not just Brazil. It's a fabulous World Cup. I remember it so vividly, and the colour as well. And Italy were fabulous as well. Their hairstyles. Not one hair out of place. They're immaculate.
So anyway, the irony of that tournament and situation that we had with the Italians in Adelaide was the fact that 4 years later I was going out with an Italian girl. So got to know all her family.
Yeah. The only problem is if you cross her, you can have her family to answer to.
You end up with a horse's head on your pillow there, Brad.
Yeah. You have to sleep with one eye open, Brad. One eye open.
We split after amicably after the 1987 Cup final when Spurs lost to Coventry.
Oh my God!
Well, I'm glad it was amicable. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here today. Really, let's be honest.
No, you'd be in the box.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Yeah. Don't worry, the Italians can be nice as well, They don't always.
Family, and I mean, they have. I mean, I don't know what it's like with the Greeks and the Cypriots and that, but they had a massive family, huge family.
Yeah.
Family dinners and and you have this big plate of ravioli or whatever, and you think, oh, I'm full up now. So that's only the entree, sort of thing.
No, they really do feed you. The Greeks and the Italians, they feed you well. So what we do next, Dermot? We're going to be reading this statement.
Yeah, it's just that we've got an Arsenal fan in.
That's all right.
Do you think they've won the league already, Leicester?
Well,
just enjoy watching Coronation Street. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh yeah.
Ellie, do you want to read out? FIFA was formed back in 1904 because there was no regulatory body. So just to give everyone sort of a little bit of a history lesson, we're going to go back to the start of it. Ellie's just going to read through something. We've got stats. We've got other bits and information I've put together as well.
Yeah.
In the slide. So Ellie, do you want to read this through? I think there's 2 pages just to give everyone how FIFA started and what it actually stood for. Not what it stands for now, but what it stood for back then.
Okay, it says the need for a single body to oversee association football became apparent at the beginning of the 20th century with the increasing popularity of international fixtures. The Fédération Internationale de Football Association, FIFA, was founded in the rear of the headquarters of the Union des Sociétés Francaise
Francais.
Française des Sports Athletiques, USFSA, at the Rue Saint-Honoré 229 in Paris on the 21st of May 1904. The French name and acronym are used even outside French-speaking countries. The founding members were the national associations of Belgium, Denmark, France, the Netherlands, Spain, represented by the then Madrid Football Club. The Royal Spanish Football Federation was not created until 1913. Sweden and Switzerland, also the same day, the German Football Association, DFB, declared its intention of affiliating through a telegram. That's so weird, isn't it? Like through a telegram.
Kids are going, what's a telegram?
They were busy. They
I
were
know,
busy
what
trying
is a
to
telegram?
organise other things at the time. How to win penalty shootouts. Right, we've got more here. Sorry, this is a bit boring.
That's all right.
I do apologise.
So, no, but it's interesting for the viewers so they get background knowledge. The first president of FIFA was Robert Guerin. Guerin was replaced in 1906 by Daniel Burley Woolfall from England. Woolfall, that's an interesting name. By then, a member of the association. The first tournament FIFA stage, the association football competition for the 1908 Olympics in London, was more successful than its Olympic predecessors, despite the presence of professional footballers. Contrary to the founding principles of FIFA, dubious discuss, it says. Should we discuss that?
Must be from Wikipedia, I think, if it says dubious discuss.
Yeah. Membership of FIFA expanded beyond Europe with the application of South Africa in 1909, Argentina in 1912, Canada and Chile in 1913, and the United States in 1914. Yeah. So the 1912 Spalding Athletic Library official guide includes information on the 1912 Olympics, scores and stories, AAFA and FIFA. The 1912 FIFA president being Dan B. Woolfall, Daniel Burley Woolfall was president from 1906 to 1918. During World War I, with many players sent off to war and the possibility of travel for international fixtures severely limited, the organisation's survival was in doubt. Post-war, following the death of Woolfall, the organisation was run by Dutchman Karl Hirschman. It was saved from extinction but at the cost of the withdrawal of the home nations of the United Kingdom, who cited an unwillingness to participate in international competitions with their recent World War enemies. The home nations later resumed their membership. Some that's interesting.
We just got some stats here as well, just to go through.
Okay.
You're loving these ones, David, aren't you?
Yeah, I go back to number one. The most played match is Argentina versus Germany, which for me, I couldn't believe when I found that stat.
Wow.
Yeah.
And the most played final is Argentina-Germany, of course, 86, 19, 2014.
Really? Wow.
What do you remember, guys, of the 86 World Cup final? We will go back about Mexico in 86, and we will touch on that game against England where it didn't come off his hand, it came off his hair. I'm still convinced by that. So
spoken like a true Irishman.
Yeah. But what were your memories? And I'll start with you, Ellie, and then go down to Mia, then you, Brad. So what was your memories of 86, Ellie? And then after me, I'll say my memories as well.
I was just thinking how I was thinking that Argentina were the best team in the tournament. And it was just a shame that they had to meet Germany, because I didn't really take to German football. I always thought they were quite, like rigid and like efficient, and not exciting to watch. Whereas Argentina, they had all the flair. Their fans were fanatical. You had the ticket tape, and like they're crazy people. Like Argentinians, like. I was with them. Once England get knocked out, always with Argentina. I've got a soft spot for Argentina. Even before Aussie came, Aussie came 78, didn't he, to us? 77, 78 season. Even before that, I even liked Brazil and Argentina because they played with flair and without fear. They'll take on their player, you know, and their passing was immaculate. Whereas Germany, I just found them quite boring to watch. That was just my own take on it. And I didn't really want them to win anything either. Not because of England and the war we had with them. I just didn't like their style of football. The only one I really admired was Franz Beckenbauer. He's the only one who stood out for me, who I liked as a man as well, because he was always, when he was interviewed, he's always diplomatic and he was always full of praise for all the teams. You know, he didn't just big up Germany, which I liked. Yeah.
Look, before we go to Brad and Mia as well, look, for me, 86, they had an earthquake, I think, in the December before the tournament, if I was right.
Wow.
In 86, and how the country got themselves together to host a football tournament after a major earthquake is beyond me. Look, Maradona brought that Argentinian side to the final. It wasn't the best Argentinian side ever played, but him as an individual brought that team to the final. Germany had no right being in that final. They did what Argentina did in 1990, gone through on penalties and free kicks. But the best team won that tournament, I think, in 86. Mia, I know you were only young. Do you remember anything of the 86?
I was 4, so I don't remember it. Obviously, I've seen different bits of it but not watching it at the time. Do you know what I mean? So, like, obviously, it's difficult when you just watch bits of it. You can't judge the World Cup as much as when you actually watch it with your own eyes. So I'll probably go with Ellie on that. Like, Argentina always have been like that flair team, you know, that team that's always been good, and I would never want Germany to win anything because Germany in it. That's like a bit like us with the scum. That's how it feels like. That's our ox. That's like someone that we just don't like. So I can never root for them ever.
No.
86.
Germans in.
86 was.
It's nothing personal. It's just the team. I don't like the team. Just to say, anybody, whenever I say things like that, it's not anything personal to a person or people of that country, because I know lots of people from all different places. I've got nothing against them. But when it comes to my football, obviously Germany is like a team that is like we have that history with. So,
no, that's what I understood. I mean, Brad, I just want to ask you this question. So on 86, apart from the England thing and the Argentinian side, put that aside to later, what other team impressed you in that World Cup? I mean, there was some. Mexico, of course, got to the quarterfinals. You had Italy, the defending champions, going out to a very good French side that lost to Germany in the semi-finals. Is there any match that you remember, Brad, that comes into your memory of that World Cup?
I don't remember a lot of the 86 World Cup, apart from the England games. Because it was on in Australia. I was living in Australia at the time, so we were going around various friends' houses to watch the games at, I think, in the morning or whatever. I remember the England, when they won the England-Poland game where Lineker got the hat-trick, because I just remember the commentary. Lineker! And Jimmy Hill in the background, you could hear him laughing. You know, Barry Davis's commentary. And they got to the quarter-final, and it was around my house, and all my mates came around to watch that. And the funny thing was, when Maradona scored the first goal, when you watched it live, you didn't know it was a handball. And it's only when you saw Shilton just chasing after the referee, and they showed it in slow motion. And then from that moment on, I didn't want Argentina to win anything, you know. So, you know, we came, you know, we got a goal. I mean, we saw the brilliant goal that Maradona scored. You know, you can't take that away from him. And that's the annoying thing about it, was he didn't have to do what he did. He was a good player anyway, or a great player anyway. Yeah. And then we really came. We got the goal back, and we came pretty close to equalising at one stage. I think there's a shot that just went wide or something. So once we were knocked out by that, I just sort of lost interest. So I did get up to watch the final, and I think, I mean, look, Germany has been in England. Germany are our rivals, and Germany, England aren't their rivals. It's quite weird, but I sort of watched it. I didn't want Argentina to win. Didn't really want Germany to win, to be honest. But
for me, the best match I remember was the France-Brazil quarter-final that went to penalties, where Zico was brought on. That this time Zico is an Asian player, came on, missed the penalty, in I think it was the 80-something minute to win the game for Brazil, and of course, France lost to Germany in the semi-finals. Brazil-Sweden are also the most played match in the World Cup.
Wow.
The most appearance in the first round is 22 Brazil. They have qualified for every tournament, the World Cup that's been. Elimination in the first round, most times, we had a chuckle about this in the back room. Scotland have got that lovely record from 54, 58, 74, 78, 82, 86, 90, and 98, just to rub it in a little bit. And then the most appearances without elimination for the first round, and I'm very proud of this. We've only qualified for 3 World Cups, but we were made it out of every group we've gone there. And of course, it's the mighty Republic of Ireland, the mighty. For me, 1990, we had 88 European Championships, our first tournament ever. Get to Italian 90, Big Jack taking us there. And there's a funny story. I've said it before on this channel, but I still love telling it. There was a boats bringing in Dutch fans, English fans, Irish fans, and they all got put into cages. So the Italian police didn't know where to put them, to keep them apart. Now, remember, it's a very hot day in Sardinia. The long journeys, and because the England fans and the Dutch fans have a reputation that precedes them, probably trying to get at each other. So they come to the Irish fans, right? They're in a cage. Now, you would have thought people were getting peed off now. I want to get out of this cage. The Italian man watched all the Irish fans get close together, shoulder to shoulder, and start going, meh. All the Irish fans. They started making sheep noises. Right? The English fans and the Dutch fans are looking at them thinking, what? Nobody could actually work out why. The Irish fans, they've got such a unique sense of humor. It was the most funniest story I ever heard, honest to God. And it's not the first time they've done it. They've done it in Russia as well. They're over in Russia, playing Russia, and they've done the same thing there. And the Russian police just didn't know what to make of it. So it was so bloody funny. So Ireland have actually held that record. We'll go to 3. The oldest player to score in the World Cup was Roger Miller of Russia in 1994. And the oldest player to debut goal was Roger Miller. The oldest debut goal after Miller scored was another man from the 1958 World Cup in Sweden. Don't ask me where he's from. He was 37 years old, but I remember Roger Miller in 1990.
And the celebration, wasn't it, as well?
Yeah. And we've got a few more stats before we get onto it. Sorry, Ellie. Hang on. Have I brought up the same stats again? Have I? Just let me double check. Hang on. Just let me. Yeah. No, I haven't. Yeah, I have.
39 days. So, this goal scorer, bloody hell, Roger Miller.
Yeah. So we've got a few questions here. We will go through a bit more later. Of course, I had to bring this up knowing Brad and Mia were coming on, and also Ellie, just to rub the Irish thing just a little bit more into it, especially between me and Brad, and Ellie and Mia as well. On the international front, England won England played us at Dollingman Park back in the early 1920s. I think they won 1-0. But Ireland were the first foreign side to defeat England on the English side, a 2-0 win at Goodison Park back in 1946, I think it was, around that time. But, good memories. I was there that day.
It's because we felt sorry for you, because you don't really qualify for much or do much, so we felt bad for you.
Mia, I'm very, just keep it coming, Mia. Keep it coming. I love international World Cups.
Mia, you're going to get cancelled.
Right. We've got the first question here, and me and Ellie done some of these for me, and bless her. Thank you very much for doing these questions for me, Ellie. Really appreciated. So I'll start with you, Ellie. How old were you? Then I go to Mia, then you, Brad. How old were you when you remember watching your first World Cup? And is there anything from that year that made you fall in love with the magic of the World Cup? And also to the chat as well. Put that in the chat as well. And then after you've all had your say, I'll have my say then at the end.
Right. So remembering wise, the 1970 World Cup. But I still got vague memories of the 1966 because I remember my dad jumping up and down when England won the World Cup. And he was saying, I wish Jimmy Greaves was there. I wish Jimmy Greaves was there, in his Greek accent, you know, but he goes, it was a tragedy. I just remember that. But the 1971, I remember it very well because myself and my brother Baraskevas, but who we call Babu for obvious reasons, right? We used to collect those old football cards with the chewing gum in them, the pink chewing gum, and I remember getting Jeff Astor about 20 times and feeling, I'm wasting my money, right? And to get the book filled up, because you used to have this book where you slide them in so that the cards don't get tarnished, and then they changed to stickers, didn't they, to the Panini stickers? But I just remember the football being fantastic, and Brazil were amazing. Like everything they did, they were like dancing on the pitch. They're like gliding along the pitch like gazelles. And I thought, I've never seen anything like this before. No, even at 8 years old, I could, because I love football anyway, and I was playing with my brothers from the age of 3 or 4, right? So basically, I just was like in awe of the Brazilian team. But I also loved the English team because the English team were very, very talented as well. We had some marvellous players, like Gordon Banks in goal, like Jeff Astor. And I think Peter Bonetti played for a little while as well in that one, didn't he? If I remember rightly, I think
I'll go into that.
Peter Bonetti.
I remember that.
He was the goalkeeper, and Peter Bonetti was the goalkeeper in the quarterfinal where you lost to Germany 3-2.
Yeah, I remember. What happened to Gordon Banks? And I think he got an injury, I think, if I remember rightly.
He had
food poisoning, didn't he? Yeah. Anyway, I was so upset because I loved Gordon Banks, and that save that he did was amazing. It was like, they were talking about that save for as long as I live. That's how brilliant that save. And they always show it when they show the 1970 World Cup. They show the Brazilian goals, but they always show that goal, that save, because it was just marvellous. And
by Banks, it's just the commentaries in my head right now. It's just
it was. I mean, he must have leaped about 20 yards to save it. And he had only one eye. He had the dodgy eye, didn't he? So basically, he did it with one eye.
Yeah, I think that might have been after.
Maybe I got that one wrong because I was so young. But I remember he had the dodgy eye maybe after then. But he was just brilliant. And I was just, my dad absolutely loved it. He was going crazy. But obviously he wanted England to win, right? But when Brazil went to the final, he wanted Brazil to win it, obviously, because of Pelé and all the other players that they had. But Pelé was their like star player, wasn't he?
Well, there's a stat from that final, Ellie, that I don't think a lot of people know. Pelé actually scored Brazil's 100th goal in the World Cup. He actually
brilliant.
He scored their 100th goal. How do I know all this knowledge, all this stats?
Because you're a World Cup. You love the World Cup, Dermot.
No, I left a very boring life. I was always reading stats, Ellie. That's why.
That's Well,
you're the Will Stewart of England.
I'm a bit of a nerd, really.
Yeah.
I mean, great memories for you. So Ellie's going for 1970 and all the shenanigans. You had Bobby Moore getting arrested before the World Cup.
Yeah,
the great Brazilian side of 70.
Jimmy Greaves apparently he was on a night because there was. Oh, I'll wait till you come to me. I'll tell you the story about Jimmy Greaves.
Yeah. Also, there's a question for you, and I don't know if anyone in the chat will get this. What was the other broken beaten up by by that Brazilian side in that World Cup? And it's never been beaten since. It was one Brazilian player. This is just for the chat. What did one? And if you can name what the record he broke,
I think I know.
You get a point. But if you get the name of the player, you get another point. So what Brazilian player set a record that's never been broken in any World Cup?
I think I know the player's name. I won't say anything.
Don't say anything, Brad. This is for the chat. This is not for us. For the chat. I like giving them little quizzes now and again to keep them on their toes. Mia, I'll go to you, Mia. Absolutely great to have you on. I'll get the question up again if I can see it. Here we go. How old were you when you remember watching your first World Cup? And is there anything from that year that made you fall in love with the magic of the World Cup?
Well, for me, it would probably be the 94 one. I remember this slightly better than 1990 because obviously my age, for me, I've a different era of when I started watching the World Cup. So them ones are probably the ones that I kind of think, I remember those. But the one in 1998 was obviously the more memorable one because England were playing in that one, and that was a really big World Cup for us. Like that was one that obviously that's when Three Lions originally come out, weren't it, in 98? Like it was
it's 96 euros. They released
96.
another.
98, that's right. But it's like obviously what I mean is like it was like a big deal because we were in that one, where in the 94 one we wasn't in it. So it was obviously you didn't take as much notice because I was still fairly young. I didn't take as much notice, but the one that we were in, obviously I took a lot more notice of that game. So that of that year. So it's probably to do with the fact that I was that sort of a bit older by that time, and I took a bit more notice of the actual World Cup. And it was just the excitement around it. It was just so exciting that England were in it, and everyone was just buzzing about the World Cup and the players, like when you think about like the players that were there, and I don't know, like it was just like a bit of a buzz. I think that's what made me probably take a bit more like notice. I remember going to watch it with my mum and my brother. We went out and we watched it we had like a sports centre, and they were showing it, so we watched it there, and everyone was throwing chairs about when they're getting excited, and I was only a kid. I was only like still fairly young, and my brother's like 4 years younger than me. So
so 98 for Ellie. Right, we've got a few answers for the question. I will let Ellie and Brad go have a crack. I don't think Mia's going to know this, so I don't think I'll come to you, Mia, because you might know it, so I will come to you. Ellie, what Brazilian player, without looking at the chat, because I know you got your beady eye on the chat, one eye, thinking, right, I got it.
Yeah.
Right. What Brazilian player made a record in the 1970 World Cup that's never been broken, and who was that player?
I don't know, but if I had to fashion a guess, I would say Revelino, maybe.
I think it was Jairzinho, and I think he scored in every round.
He did, that's it.
Oh, okay.
That record is actually
well done, Brad.
Yeah,
good man.
And for some reason, when they had his name on the TV screen, it just said JAIR, so So for some reason.
Big up to Andrew Gregory.
Yeah, Andrew's as old as me. He remembers.
Jairzinho. He's really like the Gaza, isn't he? He's like the Gaza of Brazil. Scores in every round.
Talk about my first World Cup. Just quick mention on the 1994 in America. I was in America in 1993, and I actually bought a T-shirt that had England USA 94, and of course we never made it. But unfortunately I lost that T-shirt. It might be worth something. But anyway. Like Ellie, my first World Cup was 1970, and I guess when you're a kid, you know, your first World Cup is it's so magical. You're right. It's just I was actually in Italy on holiday, and I remember buying a little plastic football that had pictures of all the Italian team on it, sort of thing. You know, and that's I mean, we actually saw the first game in the hotel, and obviously in foreign Italian commentary. I remember coming home, and you know what I remember about this? You might be able to remember this, Ellie. Obviously, we're so used to TV now, and you know, but in those days, it was from some scratchy satellite, wasn't it? So the picture wasn't that good.
Yeah,
I know. Scratchy, and like you listen to it, and I just remember. I mean, I remember when we beat. I think we beat Romania 1-0 in the first game, and Jeff Hurst scored. And I remember the commentator saying that Jeff Hurst, who won the World Cup for England with the hat trick, has now given England their first victory. And then the Brazil game, Brazil-England's got to be one of the classic games.
Oh, yeah.
And England were really, really good. But I think what happened was
they were really good. Bobby Moore especially.
Moore and Pele. And well, we all know the song Three Lions, that tackle by Moore. It was like absolutely brilliant. I remember at the end, Pele and Moore swapping shirts, and everyone's saying, oh, well, it's good that they're in our group because it means we could actually, this could be the final. They were talking about that game could be repeated in the final because that's how good England were apparently a better team than they were in '66. I would say
much better players.
And the story about Jimmy Greaves was he actually at one stage they thought he was going to make that World Cup squad, but he didn't. So he went on a World Cup rally. And that's where when Bobby Moore got arrested, he was put under house arrest, and apparently Jimmy Greaves managed to sneak into where he's under house arrest and have a beer with him, sort of thing. So by climbing over the fence or something like that. But, and then unfortunately, and I remember this like it's yesterday, the Germany game. Now my sister is very radical. Okay, I don't know why, and I still to this day don't know why. And it took me until 1990 till I forgave her. For some reason, she wanted Germany to win. I still to this day do not know why. And I remember the game because the two goals that England before the game, I had a load of Enid Blyton books. And there's this series about eight. I remember putting them in the middle of the front room in the order of their, about 8 books in the front. They stayed in the front room. Watched the game. England go 1-up, 2-up. Both goals scored by Tottenham players, and it's great. And then Germany, because Bonetti was the goalkeeper because Gordon Banks was ill, and then Germany got back in the game. I think someone in the chat, I think Derek said that at 2-1, I think it was, he took off Charlton and Mullery to save them for the semi-final. And I just remember Gerd Muller scoring that goal. And I remember when the final whistle went. I just went over to this pile of books and I just kicked them all around the front room. I was only 9 years old. I was so upset, and I was in tears. And I remember my dad got to my sister, see what you've done now? What you've done? You brought your brother in tears, sort of thing. And and it was when England played. When England played Germany in the semi-final in 1990, my sister said, Brad, I'm supporting England. And I said, right, you're forgiven, sort of thing, for all those years, 20 years ago, sort of thing. But and then of course,
German DNA.
I don't know. She's like me. She's very I'm left wing, but she's really, really, really left wing, and it's probably something against the system. I have no idea. But the semi-final I didn't watch was I think Germany-Italy. I think Italy won 4-3 against Germany in the semi-final. And I remember my dad telling me, oh, what an amazing game, And then, of course, the final, I mean, that Brazil team, that's got to be one of the best international teams I've ever seen. And I just remember, if you haven't seen it, go on YouTube and find the fourth goal that's scored by Carlos Alberto. It's just absolutely a classic, one of the best goals you'll see in World Cup history. And I just remember Pele, because he scored in the final, didn't I? I remember Pele being hoisted above everyone. His shirt was off, and he had loads because it's Sombrero on, and everyone's going mad. He's got this Sombrero on, and of course that was the last time that the Jules Rimet Trophy was used because
because
won it, they won it for
they won it 3 times, didn't they, Brad?
That's it.
That final was.
They got to keep it.
Yeah, that's just amazing.
Didn't the World Cup go missing? It went missing in one World Cup, didn't it?
66. That's 1966.
Yeah, that's it.
Because
That's it.
Pickles the dog found it, didn't
he? Why I fell in love with the World Cup, really, this goes all the way back. Aaron, who's in the chat, will know this as well. It's 1990 when we first qualified for the World Cup, and I was living in England at the time. I was going to school with my Ireland rugby, had an Ireland World Cup shirt, which my granny had bought for me, and it was a long, like an American football top, but it was like a proper Ireland thing.
Yeah.
And I remember we played England, and I got bullied to hell because, we're going to beat you Irish, we're going to do this, and we're going to do that. Because we drew 1-1 with them, they all shut up the next day because I was in there. It wasn't right. Come on, bring it on. For me, that was the greatest work, being up in the bedroom watching it. Paki Bonner scoring, saving the winning penalty against Romania, David O'Leary scoring it against Italy, where we should have beaten Italy in that quarterfinal. We did play well that game. Then you got 94 with Jack throwing on the water bottles to the players on the pitch. You think he was working for the water board at the time. He couldn't. Then you got John Aldridge arguing with the FIFA official, why am I not being allowed on? It was just
you beat Italy that tournament as well, didn't you?
Yeah, Ray Houghton scored the winner in the Giant Stadium. But for me, 1990, I remember 86. I just about remember 82, remember 86, but 1990 was my first proper World Cup. And it's just, I ran home when Argentina played Cameroon in the first game, and Oman Beek scoring the winning goal with a header against the world champion. I think Barry Davis was doing the commentary, and just for me, that whole World Cup was just brilliant.
It was. I totally agree.
For me, for the Irish, from the Ireland side of it, it was great. Us getting there. Well, got a few more stats for you. Now, I haven't got all of them, and I know it wouldn't be fair to bore everyone with all these stats that I've got. But this is now results by nation. Now, it took a while to put this together. Believe me, it really did. I was saying to Ellie the other night, my brain and eyes I was going to sleep seeing Brazil, Argentina. I was going to sleep with all these coming at my head. Well, Brazil have actually won it 5 times, twice runners up, 7 times in the final. Germany are next. Italy then are after, because Italy are not at this World Cup, which is
it's a shame, isn't it? I know. Argentina 3 times runners up. Wow. They could have had 5 equal to Brazil if they won all those. You know?
Yeah. And then, do you want to walk through the rest of them there, Ellie?
We've got France with 2 victories, 1 runner-up. So they've had 3 total finals. Years 1, 1998, 2018, and runners-up in 2006. And then we have Uruguay back in the day. They were the team of the moment. So they've been in 2 and they've won 2. So they're 100% record. 1930 and 1950.
1930 was their first ever World Cup, and 1950.
Big up Bentancur. Big up Bentancur. That's what I say.
1950, Ellie. This is true story. It is still a record of attendance. 173,000 Brazilians went into the man in the car for that game.
Wow.
All Brazil needed was a point. Uruguay won 2-1. Brazil never played football again for the next 4 years.
That's right. I read that. Yeah, right. But I can't I remember reading it, but I can't remember all the reason.
Because it was their World Cup. They hadn't been beaten. They were the favourites. It was in Brazil. It was also the World Cup that the United States beat England 1-0 in somewhere in Brazil. But Brazil were the favourites, and this was the best Brazilian side, apart from the one that came afterwards. It was the first big Brazilian side. Didi.
And who did Uruguay beat in 1950? Because they beat Argentina in 1930.
Yeah, to beat Brazil in 1950.
Okay. Yeah.
Do you know what, Ellie? There was deaths afterwards. There was people jumping from the stands because the Mandicare was quite big. And they didn't play football for 4 years afterwards because of that. Then, Ellie, do you want to?
When Brazil lost that final, was that the last time they played in the white strip because they lost?
It
they
was.
changed it to the
That's
11.
actually the reason why.
Yeah.
That's actually the reason why.
It's the thing.
Ellie,
So
do you want to go through the rest here?
We've got Spain, who really they should have won more World Cups with the talent they have. One World Cup, one winner, total finals won in 2010. And I just remember Spain being a fabulous side, but they never quite got over the line. They're a bit like Spurs in a way, aren't they? You know, in the last 22 years, you know, they've only won one cup. Right, so then we have England with one as well, with total finals, one. So it's 100% record again, 1966. Czech Republic, runners up twice. Now that's surprising because Czech Republic have produced some very, very good players. But I remember Nedved. I remember Nedved being a fabulous player. And there's certain players that stick out in my memory, but I don't know whether they were Czechoslovakian or Russian because they all had similar names, you know. But I always thought Czechoslovakia were they were different from a lot of sides in Europe. They were like in between being flair and being efficient, you know. They had a bit of both. So that was 1934 and 1962, the year I was born. Well done, Czech Republic. Right, Hungary, again, 2 finals, 2 runners-up, 1938, 1954. Now, they have a history of being fabulous, Hungary. My dad was telling me about Puskas way before I could even bloody speak. You know, he was really, that player was amazing. And now you've got the Puskas Award, haven't you?
Yeah, you have.
For excellent goals. You know, that's how famous that player was. And he was talked about for many, many years after he retired. His name kept popping up.
There's a kid at school called Ferenc Puskas. I'm sure he must be named after the player.
Definitely. Then we've got Croatia, who very surprisingly they've only been in one final because they've had some fabulous players as well down the years, you know, especially Luka Modric, because he's got a special place in my heart. Even though he done a little bit of a dirty leaving us, you know, in the lurch and going off to Real Madrid a little tyke. Right. And they played one final and lost one as well in 2018. They lost to France, didn't they? So then we got Sweden, another country that produces very, very good players as well. You know, very technical players, very efficient players. They've got a few flair players down the years. I remember there was a player called Bromby. I think he was up front.
Yeah,
I liked him a lot. And he was very cute. And Mia would know what I mean by that.
Quite chunky, wasn't he? Quite portly.
Yeah, he was portly, but he had a very cute face because the Swedish boys, high cheekbones, very, very Viking looking. I like that.
I knew Højbjerg were getting here somewhere along the line.
Højbjerg's Danish Viking, isn't he? But you know what? I have to say this again. Romero is my favourite good-looking player at Spurs. I would
told you, hands off, please. No.
This is not about Tottenham. This is about the world. This is about the
world. Romero's got. He's got that naughty boy look. He's got that naughty boy look.
Yeah.
Fancy a pint, Brad.
Do you know what? That you can always look at the ladies' game, boys, because there's some stunning women in the ladies' game.
Ellie, we are going to go in.
Ellie, during
the charity stream, Ellie, we actually are gonna do that something for long them themes. I got an idea for that, so that's what we are gonna do. JC put here, did you know there was no World Cup final in 1950? That's correct, because it was actually done on the group system. It's the only World Cup to be done on the group system.
Oh wow!
And there was no semi-finals and there was no final. And all Brazil needed was a point. A Uruguay needed to win, and of course they did win. That is right. And I forgot to mention
like a league table. So if you finished above on the most points, you won the World Cup.
Wow,
Mm,
That's
basically.
right by default, isn't it?
Yeah.
That, no,
Well-
I couldn't have allowed that to happen.
Do you remember the 78?
Okay.
Do you remember the 78 World Cup where
I
they
remember it.
didn't have a semi-final? I don't think.
Yeah.
They had like a second group stage,
Mm.
and if you won that, you went to the final. And didn't Argentina, who were hosting it, have to win 6-0 in that game? They won 6-0 and went to the final.
Yeah, that was
Everyone's going,
that was
hang
a
on a
bit
minute.
dodgy, wasn't it?
It was a little bit. We've got some here. I'm just trying to find. We actually done a lot. I've done a lot of this as well, of going through World Cups, sort of past and present. Now, for the life of me, I cannot find. I did everything from 1930 right up to present, and I cannot find it. I just don't know where it is in my folder, so I do apologise.
That's
And
all right.
I did put a
We
lot of
forgive
work
you.
into that. Well,
Yeah,
we've
you've
got
done
the
so
first-
much work.
We've got the 62 here. We've got Brazil against
That's
Czechs.
the year I
England,
was born, boys and girls, 1962. And who win it? The brilliant Brazilians.
Yeah.
You see,
And
I
then,
thought of good luck.
And then, of course, then you would go to Mexico City. Again, then Italian 94. Brazil won it on penalties. The only World Cup final to actually be won on penalties. And it's never been won on penalties before or since.
Yeah, I think
You know what we should do?
Baggio's penalty
Yeah,
still
that.
always in the earth, isn't it? I think.
Yeah.
You know what we should do? We should, all the seaside boys who are English, play on the beach like the Brazilians do. Play with a tennis ball like the Brazilians do. And do play volleyball like the
I think
Brazilians do.
the slight problem with that is the weather, I think.
And
Yeah.
no, Joe, it would be very.
Summer.
Joe,
In the
what?
summer.
I would actually pay money to go and see the Brighton lads playing on the beach, because that would be very
Yeah.
interesting in Brighton. They'll get a lot
I
of
bet.
looks from a lot of different kind of people there.
Yeah. And you know what? Brighton are a very good technical football club. You know, I watch them play and I'm very impressed with the way they play.
Mm-hmm.
And Leeds United the other day, wow, what a performance.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
I've watched that. I've got a lot of match of the day, so I haven't watched that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We actually will bring up as well while we're there. It's the list of presidents. Now, they're quite unique in their way. There is a reason why I'm bringing this up, because I'm going to take the show into a bit of a controversial sort of area, which everyone I think will want us to get onto, and I think it's worth talking about, and it does concern Qatar as well. But I just wanted to show the people who these presidents, what FIFA stood for. Now, of course, Robert Guerin was the first president from 1904 to 1906. Daniel Burley died in office. That's why the third president was enacted from the Netherlands, and he actually took over from Woodfull, who actually died in office. Then, of course, we've got Jules Rimet, who the World Cup is actually was named after, and he was the organizer for the first World Cup in 1930, which I've done a little bit of research and stats on that as well, so I will bring that up later in the show. We've got a German president. Then, of course, we had the two English people. Drury died in office as well in 1961. So Stanley Rouse, of course, was the English FA's president as well, between 74. Now it gets to the bit of controversial. Now, Dr. Joe Havilanch and Sepp Blatter are one and the same. Right now, if people don't know what I mean by that, is Dr. Joe Havilanch wanted to basically take over from Ross. He didn't like him. He was Brazilian. I think he was Brazilian. But he wanted to do some, drag FIFA into the new century, sponsorships and everything. And I think this is when the corruption started in FIFA. And look, it started with him. Sepp Blatter has then taken it on. Ellie, I'll start with you first.
Yeah.
Before I do that, I just want to also show something. These are the different FIFA flags they've had over the years as well. The first one was from when they were founded, then right up to the latest one down below. So these are the different flags.
I like the 100-year one.
Mia has suddenly disappeared. I was coming to Mia next. Sorry, Mia. So I'll start with you, Ellie. Look,
yeah,
we know the reasons why the World Cup shouldn't be in Qatar, right? And that's something I will touch on later on. But do you think the corruption in FIFA started when Avalanche took over with bringing in sponsorship and money, like the '78 World Cup?
yeah,
We know what then games were rigged.
yeah.
Brazil having to win 6-0 and beating Zaire 6-0. Was it Brazil? I think it was, to reach the semi-final. And
Yeah.
so, do you think the corruption started with him? And do you think because Sepp Blatter sort of succeeded him, that it was allowed to continue, flourish, and rot the whole organisation?
Yeah, it went that way, didn't it? Because obviously, all the press coverings of the day were like doing undercover like jobs on Sepp Blatter. I don't know about the other guy because I was too young, but Sepp Blatter, everything you heard of him was negative. Like, and you can't negative doesn't form a positive, does it? So you always think, well, yes, he is corrupt, and you believe the stories because there were so many documentaries made about all the backhanders and all the sly things that they did and all the corruption, you know, and brown envelopes going astray everywhere, you know, like being passed sideways, you know. So everything you read was negative, and it was like a downer on football. It brought down the credibility of football, you know, and you start questioning, well, is all football corrupt, you know? And then you sort of get disillusionized because you want to believe that nothing's corrupt. And it was just all over the press every single week. There was a story about Sepp Blatter, you know, and he just defended himself. He was like he always managed to squeeze out of it, you know, and save his job. And then you're thinking, how comes he's doing that? There must be other corrupt people corroborating his stories, you know? So it's very disappointing. I remember being so sick about it, you know, and I wouldn't read about it in the end because it was so depressing.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I think money ultimately corrupts. And more money corrupts. I think FIFA, which obviously started off as trying to get football around the world, and it suddenly becomes too big for itself. And then you get other countries that want a piece of the action that start offering the money. And if you've got two people that are obviously, you know, supposedly dodgy, like Haviland and Blatter, they go, oh yeah, okay, yeah. And it's like anything. It's like anything. It's like political lobbying. You know, if you give a certain political party enough money and say, I want you to do this, they'll do it. And not so much in this country because there's a limit we can do it. It's only in America. You know, if you work for, I don't know, cigarette company and you say, oh look, you know, we'll give you a lot of money if you promote cigarette or whatever it might be. So it's just money corrupts, and that's you know, it's not only football, it's everywhere at the moment.
I mean, look, we're talking about a sport that should be there for the working people. That's what football is about. It was based for the work. The working people started it. It was them that invented the game, not the posh people. Yeah. Where do you think between, you know, one FIFA president taking over and then another FIFA president where he sort of rigged the elections that he would get elected every time? Where does that stop? And do you think FIFA now has to be ripped down and rebuilt again for people like us, the fans, to trust them? Or what do you think needs to happen? Because you could say the same for UEFA. Do you think all these football organisations may have to be ripped down and rebuilt again in a by the working people?
I think the problem is, though, is that now there's money in football, it's going to be hard to try and knock it all back down and go back to the roots of it, because now there's money injected and involved. It's going to be very, very, very difficult to do that. And it's really horrible, because what was pure and simple, which was the football, and that's what it was about, has become something completely different. And to undo that, I think, is nigh on impossible, if I'm honest. I really do think it's impossible, because like I said earlier, it's in all the parts of the game, because it's not just in with the World Cup, it's in with the Prem as well. It's in with, like, when you look at Barcelona, they're supposed to have not been able to buy any players, yet they still buy players. Like, what is this like craziness that they somehow do whatever they need to do to make sure that they can get money? Like, it's just, all of it is just so corrupt, because money ruined football, basically, because of that corruption. That money that came in, all this corrupt little here and there, has now built to a stage where I think to knock it down would be very difficult. As much as we would all love to take our game back, not everybody would, because when you look at it, the people that benefit, they're not going to want to knock it down, because they'll be like, well, actually, it kind of benefits us. It's a kind of like, oh, but we're all right, mate, sort of mentality, isn't it? Like, if they're okay with it.
I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting money and being rich. You know, I love a load of money. I think it's when you get into the greed situation, that's the problem. And
no, of course. I don't think, like, obviously, I actually just read an article to my children when they were eating their dinner about someone in America who won like $2 billion. And my boys were like, what would you do with $2 billion, Mum? And I was like, I would, do this and this and this. But like, to me, it's an amount of money that that would blow my mind.
People don't realise how much money that is when you're talking about billions. You know, a billion is 1,000 million. So so if you had a $1 billion, that means you could have an income, a salary of £1 million a year for 1,000 years. You know, it's crazy.
It is crazy. But that's what I'm saying. Like, we'd all be appreciative of having that luxury of being able to not worry, and for me to know that my children are going to be brought up, and like when they're older, they'll be secure in their lives. But however, like, there's always that step too far with it. There's always those people who take that too far, and they just want to be, like you say, greedy with it, and it just, because that greed comes corruption, because to get that greedy you have to be corrupt in some sort of way, because you want the money so bad, you do anything for it. You're like, I'll do anything to get that money, whether it's moral or immoral. I do not care.
And then of course you got the power thing as well. When you get money, gets you power. And
power.
I mean, going on to a different subject, but why has Elon Musk bought Twitter?
Yeah,
not because he's got anything about the Earth or humanity, as he says. He just wants a bit more power.
Yeah, but with money and with power comes great responsibility.
Exactly.
Great Spider-Man movie says.
That's true. I mean, Ellie. I mean, look. We all know that football's. Look, the Irish FAI over here, John Delaney. We had so much corruption over here in the Irish game here. Every football association does corruption in some way, shape, or form, Ellie. Is there a limit now, like with Russia, with Sepp Blatter coming out today, so it should never have gone to Qatar? Is that show that is he admitting guilt that there was bribery in Qatar getting the World Cup? And if so, why do you think people turn a blind eye to all this corruption? Is it just because money talks, or is it that people they won't believe that it's happening? Where do you stand on it? Where do you think? Is it just, as I said, money talks, Ellie?
I just think it's a vicious circle of corruption. Yeah. So there's the big spiders who running it all, and then there's the little feeders, the one who just feed off the flies on the spider's web, and they're all taking their cut to get ahead, right? Because they don't want to be left behind, because they're thinking, well, he's doing it, and he's getting away with it, so I'll do it. And they all jump on the bandwagon. And then it's just like I said, it's a vicious circle. But in their eyes, it's not vicious because they're making millions and millions and millions of pounds off of sport that's supposed to be a pure sport for the working classes, like you said, Dermot. So the rich men have come in and they've literally grabbed our game from us and made it so corrupt that you get disillusionized with it, and you're thinking, well, did you start questioning things in your own team as well? Like, you know, when we question, do they throw the manager under the bus because they're scared to make Champions League again? Because if they do, they make Champions League, they know they're going to be ousted because we'll need better players to play in the Champions League. So they've got an ulterior motive. And then then you get things like, you hear about the gambling, you know, all the gambling things that go on, you know, and all the bets that go on, and then they actually bloody come true, and they get paid out on all these bets, you know. And I just think it's sickening what goes on. Sometimes I question results in our own league. So you're thinking, right, you know, when Arsenal played Chelsea last year, right, and they basically, I'm watching that match and I'm thinking, oh my God, Chelsea have thrown that game completely. It's like almost like you think they've been bribed to lose that match, or they're just doing it to spite Tottenham because everybody hates Tottenham. You can't prove it. You can't prove it, but you're watching the match and you're thinking it. You're thinking this Chelsea team are a lot better than that. Yeah, you know, and I feel sick to my stomach. I'm not saying that it was right. I'm just saying that it makes you feel that way because there's so much corruption in the game.
Well, with the World Cup coming up, starting 2 weeks, I think it's on the 20th of this November it starts. I'll start with you, Ellie, and then I'll go to you, Brad, and you, Mir. And then we're going to end up very soon. So we're trying to get through these very quickly. Ellie,
of course.
Do you have a favourite ever goal scored at the World Cup?
Yeah. Oh, I know this is going against my country, England, but Maradona's goal. Oh my God. That second goal. It was amazing. And do you know what made me laugh? Peter Reid. He didn't even try and tackle him.
Yeah, I know.
He just like trotted. You see him trotting back. And you're thinking, Peter, just run and catch him up. Because Maradona...
I think it's an own goal. I think the guy who put in that last-ditch tackle actually put it in. I don't think Maradona scored. I think it's an own goal.
Yeah. But do you know what? If I didn't choose that goal, can I choose another one as well?
No, you've only got one, Ellie. You can only go with one.
Okay. All right then. All right then. Maradona's one. Maradona's one.
You can have another one as well, Ellie.
All right. The other goal that stands in my mind is David Platt's goal for England.
Funny you should say that. Funny you should say that.
Oh my God, I was so elated because he was an Arsenal player as well at the time. But when he scored, I was so happy because I thought, right, we're going to win the World Cup because we had such a good side. And like I think we was down on that game as well. I think we were behind. Yeah. No, and he scored that. It was like a half sort of scissor kick volley.
It was okay.
And the commentator went crazy, and all the England players went crazy, you know. Well, and I went crazy in my house as well with all my brothers.
Funny you should say that because that is my favourite goal. Now, the 1990 World Cup, I was in Australia, so most of the games were on early in the morning. So we go around a friend's house really early in the morning as the sun was coming up. I actually watched that one on my own. I don't know why, but in the flat where I used to live. But 1990 was an absolutely brilliant year for music as well. You had all the Manchester stuff happening. You had all the raves. It was absolutely brilliant. And of course, you had the greatest World Cup song ever, "World in Motion." So so I'm at home watching that game, and it was 0-0 going into extra time, and they're talking about penalties, and the goal came with about 2 minutes to go, And I've got a picture here taken from a documentary. I don't know if you can see it. If you can see David Platt, that is identical. That is how I looked in 1990. I was the spitting image.
Breaking news here. David Platt is Brad Matthews in disguise.
I was a spitting image of David Platt. That was me in 1990. So, of course, all my friends go, Brad scored. But I just remember, don't forget, this is early in the morning. I had to go to work. And I just remember after the game must have finished, 8 in the morning, something like that. And I just remember putting World in Motion on really, really loud at about 8 in the morning, dancing around the flat to it. It was actually, a magical moment. David Platt's goal, definitely.
Mia, for you, do you have a favourite goal scored at a World Cup?
Joe, I'd say my favourite goal is because it means something. Was the David Beckham free kick against Greece, wasn't it? In 2006. That was a phenomenal goal, and I'm a massive David fan, so it's a bit of a bias on that one. But the goal that I think actually was a very good goal was the Di Maria one against France. That goal was amazing. It was a crazy good goal, and the thing is, because it didn't mean anything, you can sit back and go, wow, that was a good goal. Where the David Beckham one was so good and emotional as well, because you felt it in that moment. You felt the happiness just going through, you were just mad, crazy happy, because obviously he scored that goal. So I think David's one's my favourite one, but the better one probably was the Di Maria one, because that goal was just crazy good. It was a mad good goal.
Yeah, and for me, I've got two, and it's not going to be surprising where I'm going with this, but Kevin Sheedy's goal, the same as JC. Kevin Sheedy's goal, equaliser against England in Sardinia in 1990. And also Ray Howard. Yeah.
Brad, I've got a picture of you when Eric Dyer went into the stand. That's definitely you.
That. Yeah, it's me. Yeah, Green Parker. Yeah.
Yeah, when Eric Dyer went into the... Because I was looking at that and I think, that's my mate, Brad.
I thought he was coming for me. I really did.
Yeah. He's a big lad as well.
Totally forgot my second goal now. Totally gone out of my head now.
So with Eric Dyer, all we had to do with Eric Dyer was throw him a bone. He's such a wally. You probably just go, here, Dyer, here we go. Catch it, boy.
And
they probably go and find it.
The last question we got here, my second goal's totally gone out of my head now.
Was it Marco Van Basten's?
No, it's all right, Ellie.
That was in the Euros, wasn't it? It was a Euros.
It was in Euro. Leave it.
That's true. That's a Euro.
I'll start with you, Ellie, on this. Who you support at the World Cup if England get knocked out? I'm having nothing to do with this because I'm supporting Argentina, Brazil, and Canada.
Well, I'm going to only choose one side.
Can I just say very quickly why football is corrupt? Whoever dreamt of a World Cup group sticking Iran and the United States in the same group must have been on.
They're footballers, they're sportsmen. They'll probably get on fine. It's just the stupid politicians and the stupid.
No, but Brad, it's just the thing is, it's the most funniest thing you could ever. Do you know? It's just put Iran and then USA. It's just whoever thought of that group. But look, start with you, Ellie. If England get knocked out group stages, which I think you will do, who will you be supporting in the round of 16?
Right, so England, I would choose. If England get knocked out, I would go for Denmark. I was going to say Argentina for Romero, but Højbjerg is my man. Everybody knows that. So Denmark, come on, Højbjerg, win the World Cup. If Kane can't lift it, you lift it. Come on.
And you, Brad, if England get knocked out,
right? Okay, I was thinking about this, and I had to go through my app to see who's playing it. So, kind of decision. So I thought, okay, so what are the sort of left wing countries there now? Brazil's just elected a new left wing, president or whatever. Denmark is fairly left wing and a very friendly country. Then I thought, well, what countries have got wealth tax? Because I think we need a wealth tax. That's basically France, Spain, and Portugal. Well, I don't want France to win it. I'm not so keen on Spain, but Portugal, really nice people. Been to Portugal, lovely people. Then I went to who's got the nicest people in the world, and Sorry, Ireland not in it, so I can't name Ireland. But Canada.
Yeah, take them out.
He's cut you out.
That's a dictatorship, that is.
He's got the buttons. He's got the buttons,
Portugal have got lovely people, so it's one of those. Then I thought, well, maybe any team that have got Spurs players in, because that's always good. You're gonna have a winner. You're gonna have a World Cup winner in your team. But I have to say, if I'm going to support anyone, it's probably because I lived there for 20 years, and I've actually, even though I'm British, I've actually got citizenship, and it's got to be Australia. So I've got loads of friends.
That was the most long-winded way of going about saying that, Brad, by the way. That was just ridiculously long-winded.
My reasoning, you know. My method.
Brad, can I apologise?
I've got loads of friends in Australia. They really take their football seriously. Really, really do. I've been to see Adelaide United play on a number of occasions. Was
Brian Nelson Australian or was he New Zealand?
New Zealand. He's New Zealand.
Yeah. We haven't had an Australian player, I don't think, have we? I don't think so.
Aussie. And Aussie.
Aussie ideally.
Can I apologise for doing that, Brad? It's only a laugh. Please don't. It was only
you
think that Ireland.
Fine.
Have you remembered your second goal yet, Dermot?
Huh?
Have you remembered your second goal?
No, but I just like Aaron Stinkle, me for Taoiseach. Yeah, I will run for it, Aaron. I'm going to run for the Prime Minister of Taoiseach is Prime Minister in Irish, so.
Okay.
So Dermo for Taoiseach. Get hashtag that, Aaron. Get that around.
Dermo for Taoiseach.
That's
that's Prime Minister. Okay.
For me, look. Of course, it's the island things, but there's been so many great goals over the years. You got the World Cup Brazilian fourth goal against Italy. I'm leaving it up there for a while, so it just gets into people's head. I'm running for Taoiseach, right? You've had great goals. You had the great Brazilian sides of the 70s, the Brazilian sides of the 82. You had Argentina and Maradona, who, for me, didn't score with his hand in 86. I will debate that to the day I go to my grave.
It did come off. Like the American elections were rigged as well. So.
Well, they could have fun tonight there as well, Brad. That is another show.
The world is flat as well. The world is flat as well, by the way.
Is it really? I'll be over in half an hour. Look, we could look on a serious point though. We as human beings should always have, especially here in Ireland, and I know people I've met, live and let live. Yep. But for this, I will end in this statement, and then I will get everyone's thoughts on the World Cup coming up.
You didn't ask who I was going to support, but you know, I think that's a bit out of order.
Yeah.
So what, right? I've had enough of this. We've had England slander. We've had dictatorships of kicking people out. Right? I don't like this, you know. Out of order, man.
My apologies.
I'm feeling picked on.
No, you're not.
Yeah.
You're always
pick on the little lady, isn't it? Yeah, pick on the little lady.
Who would you support, Mia, if England did get knocked out of the World Cup? I'll rephrase the question for you.
Well, we're not getting knocked out in the group stages, so you can shove that where the sun don't shine. All right, mate?
Romero.
Yes, Mrs.
It'll be Argentina because of Romero, of course. Or South Korea, because I would like to see Sonny do something. Show that. I wouldn't mind Sonny because I think that'll give him confidence. Can you imagine how much he'd be buzzing if he'd come back and he'd won something? You know, like I wouldn't mind Sonny getting it, to be honest. If not Romero.
What if it's a South Korea England final? Who would you want? Kane to win it or Sonny to win it?
Obviously England. My loyalty is obviously to England, of course. Yeah. But if it wasn't England,
Sonny cry again.
Oh. I just want to ask Carl Simpson who's he betting for the World Cup because I'm following. Whoever he bets, so I'm going to follow Carl Simpson's bet. So I can't get.
Carl Simpson.
Look, I'll start with you. I'll start with you on this, Mia. Then I go to you, Brad, and Ellie. You will have the final word on this World Cup stream, which I've loved doing, and thank you all for coming.
It's been fun.
And then we'll go at the end, Brad. If you can give us the link to your channel, so I can put it into the chat for you, so people can go over to you. Look, for me, the World Cup was built on love of football. That's pure and simple. I've grown up with watching the greatest game, the greatest tournament alive. Do you know, watching the great Brazilians, the Argentinians, Maradona, Lothar Matthäus, the great German side of the 90s, Jürgen Klinsmann. Do you know, going up now to the great Spanish side in 2010, the Dutch side that I've never won a World Cup, surprisingly, 3 finals. We've seen so much history. Tagliafico's goal for Italy in '82 when the veins are popping out of his neck after scoring against the Germans. You've got Schumacher, the German goalkeeper, smashing the French player out of the way, literally knocking him unconscious. Look, we've got Ray Houghton scoring against Italy, that goal, brilliant goal in the Giant Stadium. Us drawing against England in 1990 in our first World Cup. Romania
against Spain.
The World Cup's supposed to bring joy and happiness to fans around the world. And for me, for it going to Qatar has tarnished that reputation for myself. There's so much Qatar and all them countries around there. You've got against people of different origins, different colour, race. It doesn't gay people as well, which I think is, I mean, we live in the 22nd century. We don't live in the 18th century. For FIFA to give a World Cup to a country that has no football sort of allegiance, you know, a very small country with no proper league or anything, I think it's the most disrespected way you can treat the game. And I'm sure Jules Rimet and the people that founded FIFA are turning in their graves how it turned out, because I'm sure when they formed FIFA, it wasn't for that. It was for the pure football for the people. And to FIFA realize football is run by the people, not by money, they're going to get a bloody start reminder, because people will turn away from the game. We're all here because of football. Football should go to countries that love it. Brazil, Argentina, America, Uruguay, European football, the South Americans, the Central Americans, South Africa. I'm all in favour of giving it to nations where it's going to, for the game to blossom, where it brings nations together. I'm not all for it going to a country where they treat their citizens like second-rate citizens. You get your hand chopped, you get thrown in prison for holding your hands with your girlfriend. And I think politicians should boycott it. I think, and people that are boycotting it, I tip my hat off to you. I think fair play to you. I will be watching it, sadly, and I'm probably a hypocrite for that. But we've got to learn from these lessons. We've got to learn, and we've got to improve how these are done. We have to learn from Qatar. We have to learn that we don't let World Cups be bought by corruption. We have to stamp it out. And I don't know if it means you're away from FIFA being dismantled back to the basics, then it has to be. But I am disgusted and I'm absolutely embarrassed. I'm glad Ireland are not going to the World Cup. This is the first World Cup. I'm glad my country hasn't qualified for it. And big up to Harry Kane and I think 7 other captains who are wearing armbands for the human rights and gay people in Qatar. I think fair play to them. They got balls. But UEFA needs to wake up. They need to clean our game, because if not, we're on a slippery slope where we won't have a game. That's all I'm going to say on it. Brad, do you want to add anything to that, just on your own thoughts on Qatar and why?
Well, I totally agree with what you said. And I think Qatar's population is like 300,000, which is probably, you know, less than Manchester or something like that. But the thing is that we're all human beings at the end of the day. So by the same token, by having to go at Qatar for not treating people as human beings, which they don't, quite obviously, with their you know, migrant workers or gay people or whatever it might be. By the same token, we're human beings for wanting to watch the World Cup, even though we feel funny about it. And I'm in the boat as well. I don't think I've ever looked forward to a World Cup less than this one, but I will still watch it. if by some miracle England win it, I'll be dancing around the streets celebrating. Unfortunately, that's human nature, and I like to think that I'm a decent human being, and I believe in human rights for everybody and all that sort of stuff. And some people might, I'm so woke, that sort of thing. But we're human beings at the end of the day, and you have to face it. The people that are corrupt are human beings, and it's a human corruption. It's just the way we're made, unfortunately. So I just hope that there are things that happen during the World Cup, like the wearing of armbands. It would be nice if the crowd did something, although I would, if it was me, I wouldn't, because I'd be fearful of being arrested. But if you had a big banner in one of the crowds there, something like that, or just to make people aware, I don't think it's going to change anything in Qatar. But I do agree with you, Dermot, about FIFA. They've got to really take a serious look at themselves. And now, I mean, see this documentary on Netflix. If Sepp Blatter's coming out saying, "Oh, it was a mistake," it's almost like he's on his deathbed and trying to get to heaven. By saying, "Oh, I'm sorry." But
that's what I think he said that to almost cover his tracks. I felt like he was trying to cover his own tracks by saying, "Oh, oopsie, we did it when it shouldn't have happened." And that's sly, and that's not. Do you know what I mean? That's not cool, man. Like, he's trying to cover his tracks because we all know that it was so morally wrong to allow this to happen in the first place.
I think that I don't think that you should beat yourself up if you're watching it.
No, I agree.
Yeah. I don't think, because it's not. If I don't watch the World Cup, it doesn't mean that the things are going to change in Qatar.
No.
If everyone around the world didn't watch it and there's no advertising room, that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So
we love the game. We love the purity of the game. We love the footballers. We love the way some teams play. And we'll particularly watch those teams above. Obviously, we've got allegiance to England, but we'll watch the other teams that are flair teams.
Yeah, can I just jump in there? Can I just jump in very quickly, Brad? Sorry, I want to apologise. My internet went completely out of loop, so I completely froze. So I had to come out to come back in. So I apologise for that. I'm very sorry. Sorry, Brad. I didn't mean to.
I was going to say, we have to just do as much as we possibly can. I mean, are there? I mean, you watch during a lot of football tournament or sporting tournaments in general. If there's a big a disaster somewhere around the world, they'll have this little thing, donate to whatever. So why don't the TV networks? Why don't have a donate to, I don't know, human rights? Amnesty International. Have that on the TV screen. Just make a statement.
I'll tell you what, another thing, right? I'm not being funny, but some of these presenters, they come off like they're holier than thou, right? And they feel like they're politically in the right column and whatever. Why don't they donate some of their wages to some of these charities to prove a flipping point, to say, I'm not going to accept that money, I'm going to put some of that money and give it to these charities for whatever, like all these human rights or whatever it is, to prove a bloody point. But they don't. They're just as bad, because they sit up on their pedestal and judge other people when they're just as bad for doing it. They went over there and they don't care because they want the money too. Like, it's just as bad. Sorry, but it is. And you can't sit there on your pedestal, man.
We don't know that some of them might be doing something. I mean, they had that thing with, I think the guy at Man United, he used to be Chelsea, then Man United, where he got a team together to donate 10% of his money, didn't he? To different.
Well, tell that to Gary Neville, because when he got asked, when he was literally put on the spot, he never said nothing about donating no money to nobody. He never said, listen, I'm going to do this and do that to make sure,
I heard on the weekend he hosted Have I Got News For You, which I've recorded the long version. I haven't seen it yet, so someone was talking about that, so I'll have it. I mean, I actually don't mind Gary Neville, but I'll watch that and see what.
You know what? I don't mind. I just don't mind. I just don't like people, Brad, who are going to be double standards, right? If you're going to sit there on your pedestal and pretend that you're a holier than thou person, yet take that money, then I'm sorry, you're not. You can't sit there and pretend to be an angel.
They're getting paid a massive wedge.
That's what I'm saying, Ellie. Why don't you give some of that?
I'm just gonna. sorry, Mia. I just want to have one question for you, and then we'll get to you, Brad, your channel, because I don't really want to get too political on here, and I know a lot of people have a lot to say. But why I wanted to do the stream tonight really was to see why we've all sort of fallen out of football, a little love for football at the moment. Mia, look, will you be watching the World Cup? And we know your views, and you're right in what you're saying about Gary Neville and everything.
It isn't just obviously, I'm not trying to just pick on Gary Neville at all, but obviously he's someone who's a very prominent person who speaks up a lot, and it isn't nothing to do with anything like what way I politically think. It's just that I feel like people, the morals of some people need to be checked in this situation.
David Beckham's just done a whole big thing publicising Qatar, isn't it? So
obviously I understand that, Brad, but you don't see David Beckham sitting there trying to be holier than thou like Gary Neville does. He comes across like he's the perfect person, and if he's taken this money, then that just proves he's just as corrupt.
Be interesting to see what happens during the World Cup, whether any of this comes out, whether any of the people have donated money or done.
He's a very, very rich man, Gary Neville is.
Yeah, it is. Ellie, before we end off,
I didn't mean to take it into that direction.
No, don't apologise. It was a good point.
Right, don't worry.
And I'm glad you took a look.
You're passionate about what you think.
Nothing wrong with passion. Yeah, nothing wrong with passion.
And everyone,
nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that at all. Mia, we've got a few things coming up, haven't we, in the next couple of weeks on the 18th? Haven't we?
Yes, we have.
We've got a running order of what we're doing, so I'm pleased over that. We've also set up a GoFundMe, haven't we, today?
Yeah, that's right.
The GoFundMe page is on the YouTube. Ellie, what's it about? And can you what's it about? And why people why have you done a GoFundMe? I think it's worth explaining to people why, because we were telling them to go to PayPal, but I think it's worth.
This is actually the flip side of all the corruption that's going on in football. But we're doing a fantastic charity stream. We've set up that GoFundMe as well for ADHD or children with autism and ASD and general mental health problems, because the children are the ones that are suffering, but also the families, because they have to cope with what all the after effects of what that means to the family and how hard, what struggles they face, and they need supporting in any way we can. And like, we're just asking for people. We know money's tight. We know there's a recession on. Just for whatever you can put into that pot for the GoFundMe to help. It's GoFundMe for autism. Well, it's going to be a local charity where Dermot.
Yeah, the link's actually on the YouTube channel.
Up there.
Oh, okay.
Look, I want to thank Ellie personally for everything she does for me on this channel. She puts up with me. Don't know why, but she does. She's a good friend.
You're like you're my ninth brother.
You know what? I'll take that.
You got a football team of brothers.
I have. I've got 7. I've lost 2 of my brothers, unfortunately, to cancer. But I still say they're my brothers. They're passed away, but they're still there in my heart. Yeah. But Dermot's been there, and he's had his struggles, with his mental health as well. And I've seen firsthand how it affects him, and do you know what? This man, he's gone through lots of things said about him. And I just want to say to everybody, leave him alone. He's a nice bloke. He's got a fantastic heart. He always puts the channel first above everything, but he puts the people in the channel who are running it with him. And he'll give you every last minute of his time to listen to you and your ideas,
Well said.
So, that there's a lot of gossip goes on, which is wrong. And people like being pretty vindictive, so they shouldn't do it. And I'm fed up with it. So this guy, I've got to know him very, very well. and all these other false stories coming out about him. Not good, not good. And I just want people to know there's lots of false stories about other people as well, you know. And it's not fair, because at the end of the day, he's setting up this charity to help people that have suffered like he has as a child, and they didn't even know that it existed then, these illnesses, right? And he's doing this out of the goodness of his heart, right? And if it just helps, like I said, one child and the family, you know, we've done our job. Yeah.
Well said, Ellie.
I don't know what to say, Ellie.
Also,
sorry, I got it.
go on. No, I was going to say
yeah.
also, I don't know anything about obviously any of what's been said or whatever, because I don't listen to silly people. But Joe, what? There's too many grown people acting like children. At the end of the day, you need to all grow the hell up and stop it. Just stop it. Like, what is wrong with you? You that sad in your life that you have to do this to another person, another human? You have to be so horrible to them. What is wrong with you as a person? Like, nobody should be putting up, like, be doing that to anybody. Nobody. And it's so unnecessary, unnecessary and bloody childish. Pathetic and childish.
Yeah, it's true, Mia. True.
Ellie, I'm very humbled. I'm very touched by what you said. Yeah. Brad, help me out here. Tell us about your YouTube channel, please.
Right, okay.
Love Brad's song.
Yeah, Blue Sofa Songs, or at B Sofa Songs on Twitter. Basically, if anyone doesn't know by now, it's just me and a guitar playing or recording my songs that I've written. So I've written the music, written the lyrics. Most of the lyrics are about things that affect me, things that happen to me, my views on things. So it's all personal stuff, or it's all stuff there, but you can interpret the lyrics however way you want to, really. I've been having a song out every Friday, but the next one, there won't be a song this Friday. There'll be one the following Friday, because I'm going to go away from recording me basically playing live, and I'm going to try and use some software like basically like a recording studio, so I can go various tracks on it, and then put vocals in, put backing vocals in, and eventually, when I get to know how to use the machine properly, put a bass, drums in. And I might even get someone to video me miming to it and make it like a film clip. But that's well in the future. So, but Blue Sofa Songs, please have a look at it. There's 22 songs on there. Some work, some don't. You know, there's some songs I'm not happy with, some songs I am happy with. Have a look, see what you reckon. Click like and subscribe. It all helps the algorithms, all that sort of stuff. Make a comment if you've got any advice or anything like that. Yeah, put a comment in.
I absolutely loved your thank you, Dad one.
Yeah, I am proud of that one, actually. I've now got an Instagram account. I've now got a TikTok account. I've got to work out how to put stuff on it. So there's nothing on it at the moment. Yeah. And what I might do I might put what I consider my best songs on there. Just do it that way. But yeah, thank you, Daddies. I'm proud of that, and
love that.
And
I did like Unused Love as well, because it was like a cry to all the women in your life.
And I was weird. The funny thing was, we saw. I'm sorry to go on here. We saw the Lightning Seeds on Friday night. Supporting him was Badly Drawn Boy, and his first song he did was really personal about this relationship. And I said to my mate, I said, "Look, give it to the guy. You know, it takes a bit of nerve to put yourself out there. You know, and I've done it to 100 views or whatever. But this guy's doing it to like 1,500, 2,000 people, and you know, throughout the whole tour. Yeah. So it is. Yeah, it's a way of it's talking about mental health. It's a good way of getting stuff out there. It really is. It's certainly helped me to just get feelings out there. And so people that see everyone on these screens, if you haven't met us personally, you just see the people on the screens. Mm-hmm. You don't get to know the real person. And yeah, I mean, I'm basically what you see on the screen. That's me. If you met me, that's how I'll be. But there's another side of me, as there are for other people. The downside, you know, the side that does suffer and that sort of thing. And yeah, and writing songs is one way of getting out of it. And also it's one way of getting anger out as well. So, you know, the political songs might be angry and that sort of thing. So
Yeah, big up, Brad. Look, I met Brad when I was over at Tottenham last year, the Wolves game. I'm twitching again, but I had a great time meeting you, Brad.
I'm still waiting.
Yeah.
Cole Simpson wants me to do a mashup with Spice Girls. I'm still waiting for the phone call from Emma Bunton. So, you know.
I just
no, I was waiting. Sorry, go on.
No, go on then. Go on, Mia.
Yeah, I was waiting for you to do a cover of Break Stuff by Limp Bizkit. That's like a nice angry song, that one.
You know what, Mia? You know what, Mia? Unfortunately, with YouTube, copyrights are massive.
Copyright, yeah. No, I know. Even if you do a cover version, because I see people do cover versions all the time on YouTube.
You can. It depends on whether whoever has got the rights to that song, whether they want to see you or not.
Allow you.
The guys in the Eagles, Don Henley is a complete, arsehole, basically. You can't do
that's
anything.
A shame. I like the Eagles.
You know what,
yeah,
Brad,
no, but unfortunately he'll sue. But yeah, no, I if you ever, I know what you mean about Limp Bizkit. In fact, if you watch the Netflix documentary Woodstock '99, it's an experience, put it that way.
Is the Eagles the ones who sing he ain't heavy, he's my brother?
No, that's the Brothers, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I love that
Hollies,
song.
That's the Hollies.
The Hollies.
I want to read this bit of a poem. I've read it before, but I think it sort of sums up the community in some ways. Where Ellie said, I'm still bowled over and humble what she said, what she did say. But I saw this poem and I just want to read it. And then Ellie, we do your usual exit with something. But it's a poem
about a broken arm.
You never.
In arms. This is in arms.
It goes like this. It does. It's from the song "Walk a Mile in My Shoes." Now, Brad knows there's two versions. There's an Australian version, and there's the Elvis version. I prefer the Elvis version, but this rock band's got a very country band. It's got a very version, but there's a poem that's written out. It goes, "You never stood in another man's shoes, or saw things through his eyes, or stood and watched with helpless hands, while the heart inside you dies. So help your brother along the way, no matter where he stands. For the same God that made you, made him too. These men with broken hearts." And I think that's very much symbolizes of what people should do. And we're all brothers and sisters at the end of the day. We all need to stick up for one another. And Ellie, that was actually for you, for what you said to me. And I just wanted to read that for you. Brad,
you know what, with me and you, Dermot, right? We're honest with one another. If we don't feel like something's happening for us on the channel, like we'll say, like you'll say your piece, I'll say my piece, then we might tell David as well, but we get to the point where we got a mutual agreement and we agree on things like in a civilized way, because we've always chatted. Yeah,
but Joel, that's called, Ellie, that's called respect, because you need to understand that ultimately you can disagree with people, but it's about being respectful and getting to that point where you respect somebody enough to have a civilized conversation without doing name calling, without being stupid about it, because it's unnecessary. You can always talk to someone in a civil manner. That's the most important thing. Treat them like another human being, because that's all we are. We're all just humans. We're all flawed. We all make mistakes, but you shouldn't speak to somebody like rubbish just because it makes you feel better as a person. Nah, that's wrong. Like, get out of here if that's how you're going to be, your attitude. Like, no, that's wrong. It's about respect. Respecting people.
Right, big up Bob as well in the chat. Listen, Ellie, we've got actually a bit of for Carl Simpson, could you sing us out with red wine? Love a bit of UB40, Ellie. So
okay, no problem.
Right,
do you want to sing it with me, Mia?
Right, listen. Before we go, thank you everyone for watching tonight. Please hit a like and a subscription on the channel, please. It's been a great show. Thank you, Brad. Please get everyone go over to Blue Sofa Songs. Hit that, get them up there. Hit that like, hit the subscription. Lovely man, does some great songs, and maybe he might do one for our charity stream as well. He might come on and do a bit of guitars as well during the stream if you're free on that on the 18th.
Yeah.
as well, Brad. Mia, thank you as always. You are the. I think
the voice of reason.
Mia is the reason of light on all channels. She is. Big up, Mia, and thank you again for coming on. Love having you on.
No
I don't know if you're on with Ellie for the ladies show on Thursday, but if so, we'll get you know.
Yep.
Ellie, thank you as always. Good brilliant co-host as always. You know, always have a laugh doing these shows with you. It's been a good one. It's been an interesting one, and it's been a busy one.
It's a painful one for me because I'm sitting here with my hip killing me, and I can't take any painkillers.
Ellie, you remind me of the granny. You remind me of the granny of the hill, Beverly Hillbillies sitting on top of the car, rocking with a gun in her hand, going right. I'm gonna get some boy.
I'm in pain, so I have to rock.
Yeah, right, Ellie. I'm going to put you on. I'm going to put you on solo screen. What song are you singing us out today?
So, if Carl Simpson wants Red, Red Wine, I'll sing that for him.
Okay, so let me put you on, ladies and gentlemen.
You're going to put music on as well.
No,
you're going to play the song.
No, I'll get copyrighted. We get copyrighted, Ellie.
Oh yeah.
This is Ellie doing what she normally does. She sings us out with something. She's been known to do the Benny Hill song, the match of the day. She's done the Champions League. Ellie.
I'm only going to sing the first verse, though.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Please like and subscribe. Ellie's going to sing us out. God bless you all. Come on, you Spurs. In Conte we trust.
Right, here we go. Red, red wine goes to my head, makes me forget that I still need her so. Red, red wine, it's up to you. All I can do, I've done. Memories won't go. Memories won't go. Cut. I'm not doing anymore. Oh my God. Oh.